What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Mike Maxis.
Solo Jolo, most certainly.
Most certainly. And today we Jerry, what are we reacting to?
Okay, so this guy you guys are seeing on screen, maybe you guys have heard of him, maybe you guys haven't. His name is Thor. Is his actual name. He
what?
goes yes, his name is Thor. Thor. His name is Thor. He goes by he goes by Pirate Software. From what I know that he is a guy who's been showing up a lot recently as of this year. His clips have really been making the rounds. I know he's somebody who has went from Blizzard to Amazon Gaming Studio to FBI, working for the government. So Jesus. I know he's.
What a hell of a resume.
I know he has a crazy fucking rap sheet. I know every clip I see him in, he's insanely well spoken, and he seems a little too intelligent for somebody who's apparently just trying to make a game and stream. I don't know exactly what he does now, but I know he has a lot of clips. And I thought that why not watch one of these videos was to see what he's talking about, because he usually talks about relevant stuff or makes things a little more relevant. But why not?
We here now, and
I don't know what exactly this video particular is about, but I mean, you can see the title here. Stop killing games.
Just based off the title alone, I can infer that it's about what a lot of the other YouTubers, other gamer YouTubers have been saying, where companies are literally killing games. Like, they're making games first of all, it all started with, I don't know if it all started, but the main thing starts the live service games that don't last, you know what I mean? But people still buy them. The companies are they stop supporting them, and then after a while you can't play the game anymore because it's an online only game, and all the money you spent or that you would have spent on the game is gone now.
Yeah.
And so I think the EU was putting out I don't know if they've made it a law yet. I don't know the specifics, but there's some sort of legislation going on to where in the EU where it's they basically they can't do that no more. And so it's a big fight. But also a lot of games PlayStation delisted some games. Some games are just not available anymore. Even some single player games you just can't play. You just can't play them. You can't go and do
them. Like that does happen often,
Yeah, and it's been the problem is it's been happening on a exponential rate. So I think that's what he's talking about. Just simply because that the timing of this video, and I have been watching Game Ranks and Legacy Killer and all them. They've been talking about it. So
let's see what talk about. Let's get into this.
Yeah, man. 3, 2, 1. Let's hit it.
Oh. Hi. My name is Jason Thor Hall, also known as Pirate Software Online. I've been in the gaming industry for about 20 years. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment, then Amazon Game Studios, and now I own my own studio, Pirate Software, by the same name, which is an indie studio, and I've been here for about 8 years now. I also run a massive community. We've got about 180,000 people in Discord, and most of what I do is try to teach other people how to make games, teach them that they can make games, show them the tools to do so, and try to do everything without any paywalls or bullshit in the way. It's incredibly important to me that we keep making games, and that the next generation has the tools to do so that our medium doesn't die out. And it never will. And that's the whole intention of all of this. So with that in mind, that community brought me this and tried to get me to sign it.
See?
And I don't want to. Number one, I can't because I don't live in Europe. But number two, I wouldn't sign it even if I could. And I'm going to kind of go through this and try to explain the reasoning as to why that would be the case, without all of the internet hate machine that's grown up around it. So let's go into how this works and why this is an issue to me. First things first, what is an initiative? So an initiative is actually not law. It is something that you put together so you can put it up in front of representatives and they can start the conversation. The reason why I have a problem with Stop Killing Games is specifically it starts the wrong conversation. If we're trying to kill off the practice of developers putting together a live service game, pitching it as a single player experience, and then taking away support in the future, this ain't it. And the reason why is specifically on this initiative, under its own description, it says, this initiative calls to require publishers that sell or license video games to consumers in the European Union or related features and assets sold for video games they operate to leave said video games in a functional, playable state. Specifically, the initiative seeks to prevent the remote disabling of video games by the publishers before providing reasonable means to continue functioning of said video games without the involvement from the side of the publisher. This isn't always possible in all video games, and it doesn't call out the specific practice that this is supposedly trying to defeat. It is incredibly vague and will damage all live service games. How would you keep League of Legends in a functional, playable state? You'd have to re-architect the entire game. The game is what is called client-server. So in client-server models, there's a server and there's a client, and all of the math, all of the game, everything happens on the server. The client just displays it. And the reason we want to do it that way is so that you can't teleport around and do a billion damage. You don't trust the client. You trust the server. The client just displays what it's told, right? So if we wanted to re-architect this, we'd have to take all of that server logic, push it back out into the client, and somehow make that playable in a multiplayer-only video game. Doesn't make sense to me. So this isn't going to work for
League of Legends is already broken. Okay? League of Legends is already fucking broken. I'm a League of Legends player, okay? Echo Mains for life. But nigga, the game's already broken, but he's spitting right now. He's spitting.
Yeah, no, he making
he had me thrown off at first.
He making a lot of sense.
He making a lot of sense.
He making a lot of sense.
And by what you told me, his background, and he said it himself, I'm inclined to take his word for it because
he seems like he really knows what he's on.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with the guy who
is
an ex-Blizzard employee and is currently making games.
Because the reasons for this being a thing are insanely valid, obviously, but like, as he just said, as we can see there, as he just read out to us,
even me reading, he didn't even have to explain it to me. Me reading it, I'm like, well,
insanely vague. It's way too vague.
And what I do know, I do know a little bit about getting things in front of the government, like in front of the legislative body. Maybe not like whatever the EU's version of Congress is, but like I presented stuff to our local governments before. This ain't gonna work. Nigga, the first couple of questions you're not gonna have answers for if all you know is what's on the paper. And you're not. This might already be dead in the water, and that's very unfortunate because this is a real issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Damn. Let's keep going.
For all games, why is it calling out all games? And it's really easy to say like, oh, that'll get worked out down the line. But we're dealing with government here. If we're going to be putting up these types of ideas, specifically in front of government, we need to be calling out the right issues, especially if you don't have precedent set. Because now you're going to be setting precedent on something that doesn't make any sense, with people that may not understand the nuance of our industry, all in the name of saving games. I can't agree with that. So let's go into why this is happening. Right. So why did this start in the first place? What is the specific cases they've called out that are egregious? And they have one. It's The Crew. So action on The Crew. The video game The Crew, published by Ubisoft, was recently destroyed for all players and had a player base of at least 12 million people. Due to the game's size and France's strong consumer protection laws, this represents one of the best opportunities to hold a publisher accountable for this action. If we're successful in charges being pressed against Ubisoft, this can have a ripple effect on the video games industry to prevent publishers from destroying more games. First off, I don't like the idea in this that it has a player base of 12 million people. That is not how long-running games work. There is a large number of people that buy the game, and that player base slowly dwindles off until nobody is playing it anymore.
As a player of The Crew, I can safely tell you that it did not have 12 million players. Not with my fucking 4.5 minute queue time to go into matchmaking bullshit.
If there's any costs associated with keeping the game online, which this was an online video game,
it might have had 12 million players since it's been out. 12 million people might have played the game since it's been out. I will give it that. And even then, I'm like, the first Crew 1, I don't know.
Then eventually it costs more to keep it online than it does to keep running it, right? So the cost outweighs the amount of income for it. There are bad business practices that can occur in there. There are companies that will sell a online-only game as a single-player experience and kind of just put it into the TOS and hide it. But not all companies do that. When they do, we should be calling out that specific company, not all companies. So let's take a look at this and find out more about the Crew itself. If we pull up their Wikipedia, we can see that the Crew was actually created in 2014, which, much to the hatred of all of us oldies on the internet, was 10 years ago. Oh. So this was an online-only racing video game developed by Ubisoft Ivory Tower and Ubisoft Reflections and published by Ubisoft. So all Ubisoft, right? With that in mind, it said it was a scaled-down recreation of the contiguous United States and included both role-playing and large-scale multiplayer elements. So it had a massive multiplayer component to it. It is an online-only service-based game, and they shut it down 10 years later. On March 31st, 2024, Ubisoft shut down the game's servers, rendering the game unplayable, which is normal.
We don't need the first Crew. Like, we got 2 other versions of the game. I got Motorfest loaded up. Yeah, I'm gonna stream some Motorfest. That's what I'm gonna do. When I get my capture card working, I'm gonna stream some Motorfest. Let's keep on.
For live service games. The only thing that I can see in here that could be a problem is if they post it as not an online-only experience. But everything that I found online shows that the game was always marketed as online only. If you're going to be buying an online only game, that means it can only run when it's online. And if the servers need to shut down in the future, far in the future, it makes sense to me for the access to that game to be cut, if it's online only. If it's a single player experience that has online only functionality specifically just to shut down the game in the future, and the online only doesn't actually add any gameplay functionality, I'd agree with you. That's a shitty business practice, but that's really rare. And in the specific cases where it does happen, we should call out that, not just all games and not all live service games. Further, there's more context to this too. The Crew itself came out in 2014, but it actually had a sequel that came out in 2018, and then it had another sequel that came out in 2023. And if we go to the Crew's SteamDB, which again is not going to be all of the player base for this, it's only going to show the ones who were playing it through Steam. It was on multiple platforms. And we look at the max here, it did start out with a sizable amount of community, and then it degraded. And it had a major drop-off in 2018, which is the same year that it launched a sequel. This is normal. When a sequel comes out, a lot of the player base, if the sequel doesn't suck, will move over to it. And then the servers effectively die.
The game only got
You can't run a live service game on this few players. You can't
really
most of the time, especially not if there's anything else that goes into it. And if we go into that anything else, and we could see that there was license problems. So on December 14th, 2023, Ubisoft delisted the Crew and its expansions from digital platforms, suspended sales of microtransactions, and announced that the game's servers would shut down on March 31st. So they gave them 3 months. Usually I would say, hey, 6 months is probably a better deal, but if they're going to do 3 months, they're going to do 3 months. The only thing that I'd be interested outside of that is if there was a contractual obligation to do more than 3 months and they didn't follow it, if it was in the terms of service or not. Citing upcoming server infrastructure and licensing constraints. What were those licensing constraints? Well, it turns out that all of the cars in the game were licensed from the car companies. And a 10-year running game likely means that they had license to them for 10 years. And that means that it would likely reopen for negotiation. I understand that's speculation, but I've seen this type of a deal many times in the industry while I've been working in it. So it's not unlikely. If you're going to have to renegotiate on a game that has so few players and is not turning a profit anymore, you're probably just going to forgo the renegotiation. And if those servers are aging, you're not going to want to recreate that infrastructure. And there are some people that'll say, well, just make it all single player. Well, I've explained that that doesn't make any sense in the first place. If you're making it all single player, you'd have to carve off all of that, and it's developer time and money. When you already have sequels out and the game has basically no players left anyway, it makes more sense to just move on. I don't find that to be a problem from the developer perspective, and I understand that people find that to be a problem from the player perspective. These are two different ideologies, and that's okay to have two different ideologies. I just won't agree with it because I understand the burden that puts if we raise that problem in the way that we are right now. If you try to tell me that every studio needs to run their live service game indefinitely or not want to run one at all, then no one's going to run them. And we're going to miss out on adventures like Final Fantasy XIV. And even though I don't play anymore, League of Legends or any other live service game, any of them. You're talking everything, like even phone games, as funny as that is. A lot of people don't realize that phone games require online only.
I can stream League of Legends though, because I don't gotta use the capture.
Oh yeah.
So I'll just do League of Legends. I can't do Elden Ring, which I really wanted to fucking do. I done missed out on doing it, like streaming Elden Ring, and missed out on streaming Shadow the Erdtree, all of that because I ain't been able to get this capture card to work. So it's like whatever, man. I guess it'll be League of Legends and X Defiant and probably Call of Duty.
I do plan on.
If it's on Game Pass, I'll get it on. I'll play it on PC.
I do plan at some point. Go ahead and buy an Elden Ring on Steam so I can play that fucking Elden Ring mod. Most definitely, I probably.
Which mod?
Any of them, honestly. I want to play both of them, but the immediate one came. It was like the Bloodborne mod that changes the whole fucking game. But one of them or both of them, I plan on record and do a little something with that. We gonna see though.
Yeah, we gonna see.
It might take a little minute. We gonna see.
This dude is spitting though.
Yeah,
I'm 100% on board.
Nah, he's spitting for sure.
I'm 100% on board.
I feel where it's coming from. Yeah.
Activity. What about things like Pokemon Go? What about stuff like Monster Hunter Now? What about any of these? We'd never get any of them. And that's why I think this needs to not be vague. It needs to be specific about the business practice it's trying to defeat, which is specifically companies that are doing this under the guise of it being a single-player game, but adding online-only functionality that is not necessary and doesn't add any gameplay elements. That's the problem. So now we're going to go to Ross, otherwise known as Accursed Farms, the creator of this initiative, and one of the ones that's pushing it the most online. I'm going to let him say exactly why he thinks that this will go through very easily and why it is important.
And I watched this video. I forgot it. I was like,
this video?
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name. That's why I was like, and some other guy. This guy. Because this was the guy who started the build itself. That's why I was like, I've heard of this build, and it was from this dude. Yeah, no. And then I think he went on to do another video with fucking somebody else. And like he was talking to him about this video. So I was like, I watched this video, and then I watched him talk about the video with another creator. So yeah.
And then I'm going to tell you why I don't agree with it.
Comes law in the EU? Yeah, it might be. Now, it's not a guarantee, but I think if we get the signatures, this passes. Why do I say that? Well, it's a few factors. Politicians like easy wins, and this doesn't require them to do much at all. And unless it involves gambling or protecting children, politicians generally don't care about video games. So this isn't of big consequence to them or most of their constituencies.
I'm going to stop it there for a moment. The assertion that politicians just like easy wins, so this legislation will go through, but the politicians don't care about a multi-billion-dollar global industry and that it doesn't matter to their constituencies is incredibly absurd to me. I don't think this is the right direction at all for a movement like this. I think it's incredibly damaging and it makes our entire industry look bad, both on the player side and the developer side. If we're going to be putting forward anything that may eventually turn into legislation, it should be passing because it's the right thing to do for consumers and developers and that there's some kind of a middle ground, not just because it's an easy win and politicians don't care. This sets us off on a completely wrong foot.
EU law is already unclear on a lot of this practice anyway.
And that's dangerous. If we're going to be setting precedent, which could change the way that law works all the way down the road, then we need to be sending the right message, which this is sending a vague message that doesn't cover the actual...
This is like gaming Vosh. Like, he sounds like Vosh. Like, when you close your eyes, right? Have you watched any Vosh?
I'm not a heavy consumer of Vosh.
I like Vosh, okay? And I'll be watching Vosh. I get a lot of my... political entertainment from like Bosch and Destiny and Kyle and them. And then sometimes I watch some Hodge Twin shorts. I gotta take them in doses because they say some retarded shit. It'll make me mad. Like they say dumb shit and then with a smirk on their face and it'd be like, bro, I can't stand cocky, stupid people. Like what the fuck? Just an unearned sense of confidence. They're only confident because they go work out. So they use the fact that they got in shape to be able to, like, because I'm in shape and I go to the gym every day and most men don't because they gotta go to work instead. Goddamn, my opinions matter more, and so I'm gonna say them with such confidence, and I'm gonna raise my eyebrow to the top of my hairline when I say it. I'm gonna say it so hard with my chest and my eyebrows that it's gonna be correct. Jesus Christ, bro.
Problem. So this is not a win to me. This is a huge risk.
And we would be making it easy for them to settle it. It falls in line with other consumer practices. You know how when you buy something, you're generally allowed to keep it?
In the case of live service games, in the terms of service for those, you are not buying the game. You're buying a license to the game. And that's the part that's really different here. If we don't like the idea of live service games as a whole, I get it. Don't play live service games then. Don't agree to those terms. But if we're under this weird idea that we need to get rid of all live service games or damage that practice in any way to keep in line with consumer policies, it is in line with consumer policies. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be there in the first place. So this doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. You're not buying the game, you're buying a license to the game. In the niche cases where a studio is trying to sell a game as if you are buying it or purchasing it or using that language specifically and they give you a live service game instead, I agree that should change. That language should change. You are not purchasing the game, you are not buying the game, you are paying to have a license to a live service experience. I get that. Is that what this is doing though? The initiative is not trying to call that out specifically. It's trying to say that all games need to stay in a functionable, playable state, which is not calling out the language that is being used to manipulate the player. Call that out specifically, not this vague bullshit.
And finally, this is a diversion from really serious topics that politicians would prefer not to deal with.
That's really gross to me as well. The idea that this is just a diversion from serious topics and they can get an easy win in and we can just push it through and there won't be a lot of pushback on it and they're not going to have to think about it too hard. That's crazy dangerous, dude. If you're going to be setting precedent, if you're going to be putting forward something that you want to start a conversation to eventually become legislation, and these are the reasons for it, not only can I not agree with the initiative, but I can't agree with you. And I think that the tactics that you're using here are really disgusting. So yes, I won't agree with that. And I won't agree with Ross. There's no way around that. I think this is gross. To sum it all up, no, I will not be supporting the initiative Stop Killing Games. You're not going to change my mind on it because I find this language to be incredibly vague and damaging to the rest of our industry. I think that it will be bad for both developers and players down the line in the way that it is currently written. And I think that starting a conversation that doesn't get to the core of the issue is both wasted time and leads to potentially bad outcomes.
I mean, he already sold me on League of Legends won't be here no more because, like, as much as I hate that game, I don't want it to not be here. I'm still gonna play it. What the fuck? I've been playing it for 10 years. Oh my god, 11 years. I've been playing this fucking game. I'm not gonna stop playing League of Legends. Are you crazy? I'll just take a break. I just won't play it for a week or a couple of months or whatever, but I'm playing League of Legends. Don't just take League of Legends away. You gotta be wrong. I done spent too much money in that game too. Like, what the hell? I know I spent easy over $1,000 in that game. Over the course of 11 years, I know I spent over $1,000.
I'm probably the same with Warframe. Yeah,
oh yeah, no, they wouldn't be able to do it. He didn't even mention Warframe because he didn't really have to. But like,
not necessarily have to. But yeah,
Warframe would be gone. Like, are you out of your fucking mind? How would Call of Duty work? You know what I mean? So we can't.
Yeah, I do want to extend all of this. I do feel where the guy is coming from.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it should be.
I feel like we are in a state of gaming where there is gonna have to be something done about how, just in general, how the way these live service games and how all the practices in every facet of live service games are operating. I feel like something's gonna need to be done about it sooner rather than later. Even speaking beyond just them shutting the game down, you not be able to play it anymore. Like, cause everything around live service games are fucking icky right now, and they are. It's all bad right now as far as live service games go. So there's something is going to need to be done, but this, as far as keeping games from just randomly shutting down that you spend a whole bunch of money on, I don't think this is the move. I definitely don't think this probably wouldn't the right way to go about it.
I think we all think the bags were a good idea. Not pointing any fingers. It could have been done better. I say no bags this time.
No bags.
Next time, Bass done right.
With the bass, my wife spent all night cutting holes.
Full regalia. Okay.
For you ungrateful sons of bitches.
And if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. Because this is and I'll explain. Like this is the guy's got a good idea. And his heart's in the right place.
It's coming from a place,
but it's overshadowed by a bunch of like cynicism and like ignorance of like what he's actually ignorance of like the scale of what he's actually trying to do.
Yeah, this wasn't thought.
You can tell that this guy, he says it in the video. This is like some guy in America talking about something that should be happening in the EU. This isn't even a guy that lives in the EU. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? This is like a cynical American's take, a cynical middle class American's take on something that could be going on in like a level of EU legislation, right?
This probably wasn't nearly thought out enough to a level where it would have been beneficial,
right,
at all.
Yeah. So, what I will say is you said something about olive branch earlier that I think that rather than calling the stuff disgusting and all of that stuff like what bro is doing. Maybe, well, not necessarily extend the olive branch to him specifically, but okay, let's say this language is bad. Like, no, I'm not saying that he should not have condemned the language because it's definitely bad, wrong. But I'm also saying it's like let's not create an infighting. Like let's
I feel you
because what we don't want to do is dogpile on this guy.
Yeah, it does feel like he comes down a little harder on him for the way I
understandably though.
Understandably,
though, because it's like Donald Trump became president, dog.
True, but
if anything left unchecked could be disastrous now at this point. And this is an internet petition. The internet, and now, do I believe he would actually get it with this language? No, because I already said before, it's gonna die it's gonna die in court anyway. Look, as it's written.
I'm coming from a point of I don't even think this would even be successful to begin with. I just don't think this would even been successful, honestly. But hey, because
I didn't even read.
I'm not the most politically real red person, especially on EU laws.
Like why the hell? I don't even know Tennessee law.
Look, but it's like I definitely don't know.
I barely know the law around the corner.
I don't know.
EU is crazy.
I definitely wouldn't be holding out hope of this being successful anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel them, yo. I feel both. I feel for both of these guys. You feel me? I just feel like. I feel like Thor here knows a little bit more. Most definitely.
Yeah, for real. Cause like, like I said earlier, I'm inclined to believe, or not believe, but I'm leaning more of the way this guy is simply because the way he puts it is way more, what's the term? Way more knowledgeable and like a way more he's way more concise with his thoughts, and so that's the first thing is just off presentation alone. But then the second of all, like you said, his background, who he actually is, you know what I mean? And then like you said, he everything that came out of his mouth made perfect sense to me. And then when he regurgitates, because I watched the video and I saw where bro was coming from. Because I didn't know no better. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, I see where you're coming from. I mean, I guess that's good or whatever. But then when he breaks it down, he's like, oh, shit, I didn't think about it like that. But that's important.
Yeah,
and that's why, and like I said, that's why I see where he was coming from was, there's a bunch of people like me that wouldn't have known no better and just went and signed it because they felt it was the right thing to do. Just off the top. Because it's like, oh, yeah, that is bad that happened.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That is bad that they're doing that. But I didn't even read that he was like the crew one was an example that he. That's crazy.
That's a crazy example, most definitely. But most definitely an insane example. I didn't even.
He didn't even use a real example.
Yeah, look,
of the specific problem, and that's crazy. That's sloppy work. But this dude's not this guy who made this is obviously not the type of person that's a bookworm for the law or any of that shit.
Yeah,
like,
nah,
he's
most
not like
definitely.
a political science major or you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
most definitely.
He's definitely not. He's definitely not even giving college. If it is college, it's like some sort of trade school.
Yeah.
And there's no short on trade. No disrespect to trade school. I'm trying to find a goddamn trade. College is a scam. So, but yeah. So like, but this right here. Yeah, no, I like this dude. I like this dude. I like Thor. Thor's pretty good, man. God of Thunder. So I'm assuming he's Norwegian since his name's Thor for real.
Yeah.
Jason Thor is crazy.
But yeah, no. Take away for you people at home. Basically, any live service game you enjoy wouldn't survive under something like this.
No.
Even if this was to get
shit, Spark and Zero will be over with. How would we play that game?
You know, realistically. So, yeah, no. That's what we got to say on this one.
Yeah, that's it, y'all. We'll catch y'all on the next one. This was
definitely check out Pirate Software.
Yeah, definitely check out Pirate
crazy
Software,
intelligent.
man.
You know, so check them out.
We're definitely gonna be watching more of his videos. This is my first time ever seeing him. I never heard of him until today. This is all Jaren's idea.
Yeah.
So we appreciate everyone who watches this, likes, comments, shares, and subscribes. So yeah, man. We'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out.